It's been 8 months since Lowitcher's capture. He has just received a new inmate.
Hello, Harold. Have you ever heard the story of the slaves in Saint Domingue, my home, rebelled?
No, Lowitcher, I don't understand though. Why are you rebelling?
We needed some way to obtain human rights, didn't we?
I suppose so, but where'd you get the idea to start a revolution?
Oddly enough, we were enlightened by France itself, when they endured a revolution of their very own, along with the American Revolution. They both achieved equality for all citizens within their country.
That's amazing, but I actually meant, where did the initiative of having a slave revolt start the rebellion come from?
Oh, well, from what I have heard, there's always been slave rebellions in Saint Domingue. They had just been performed on a much smaller scale, as well as not accomplishing as much due to the fact that most of them were failed attempts. Although, come to think of it, in the Americas, especially North America, there have been a few slave rebellions, and their leaders in particular have inspired us.
The slave rebellions and their leaders? How do they help you succeed with anything in Saint Domingue?
I'd always tried to model myself after Gabriel Prosser and men like him. These are slave leaders that I looked up to from the Americas. Even though their revolts ended in disappointment, seeing the numbers they had supporting them and the amount of effort they put into each one of their attack strategies was very helpful. The slave revolts that started our rebellion resembled the ones Madame Defarge and her army started for the beginning of the French Revolution.
Almost like when a child looks up to an older parent or sibling?
Exactly. By learning of their actions, I was able to avoid making any of the same mistakes as they had. By doing this, many of the men's lives were spared along with their supplies and time.
In actuality, that does seem quite helpful. If I may, how do you yourself get involved in these historical revolts?
I was born a slave in Saint Domingue, but eventually freed myself. And about 12 years ago, August 21st to be exact, I gathered a group whom were still enslaved. We were the first to rebel against the planters, those who owned plantations.
This being your first rebellion, I'm guessing probably did not go very well.
For the majority of the time, our rebellions had a victorious ending for us. By the end of the first year, we had control about 1/3 of Saint Domingue.
Wow. That is very impressive, sir, especially considering you all came from practically nothing and were actually accomplishing a considerate amount.
May I finish my story now, or would you like to figure out the rest for yourself?
Go ahead, but could you possibly make it a little bit more interesting, or at least put some action into it?
Yes, of course, because it's not as if revolts don't have enough battles in them on their own. Now, where was I? Oh, right. Now, because of the amount of distress we had been causing, France decided to send some aid to the colonies. How unfortunate for them that this only caused more violence, including the fact that our numbers continued to grow rapidly. Within the 2 years that followed the start of the revolution, we were able to hold off both the French and English troops that were arriving on our shores.
Incredible.
After 10 years of fighting in Saint Domingue, I expanded the revolution outside our borders to Saint Domingo. Here I was able to abolish slavery. Afterward, I confirmed my position as Governor General, which I believe was rightfully mine. After that service, I provided for the colonies over there.
How did King Napoleon react to all this occurring?
I suppose not very well. Imagine... The day began as any other day would have. I was sitting in my home with my trusted colleague, Jean-Jacques Dessalines.
Wait, did Dessalines also play an important role in the revolution? Were you two similar in the way you carried out the revolution?
Although we were fighting for the same cause, we did go about things differently. I did not partake in the burning of plantations or even the execution of slave owners. I believe that in order to succeed, we needed organized politics and an organized military. Dessalines saw things a little different. Because of the extreme anger Dessalines felt, he took a more aggressive, violent approach on things.
Oh, I see. Now, weren't you going to tell me how King Napoleon reacted to all these occurrences?
Yes, I was just getting to that before I was rudely interrupted by someone. Anyways, we had heard news that Napoleon would be arriving with General Charles Leclerc, but we had no idea how soon or when.
So how do we know when to prepare for Napoleon when we don't even know he's coming?
Napoleon and Leclerc should be arriving tomorrow morning.
We must prepare our men for the fight that lies ahead.
The French will be caught off guard when we wage guerrilla warfare. The revolution was not started just so it could be ended by a silly Frenchman.
Leclerc, all must be done to capture Lowitcher. My power should not be challenged, especially by a man of color.
Yes, Your Majesty, I vow not to leave empty-handed.
Clerk, look ahead. There seems to be no one waiting for us.
You're right.
After fighting for a long while, I'd come to peace with France, or so I thought.
But if you came to peace with France, how'd you end up here in jail?
I received a letter from Napoleon saying that he wanted to meet and discuss important matters pertaining to Saint Domingue's independence. I wish I'd listened to my dear friend Dessalines when he told me not to go. As soon as I arrived to where I was supposed to meet Napoleon, I was captured by the French and taken here.
Whatever happened to Dessalines?
Well,
Sir, here's the letter I received today. What is this? Oh no, Louverture passed away. He died on the 14th of April. He had pneumonia? I have to continue in his place? So our leader is gone now? And so who's in charge? Me? Why me? Of every other person on this island, you pick me? Well, I guess it makes sense. I was working right under Louverture before he was captured. So I will rise up and be the new leader of this revolution. I am sure it is what Louverture would have wanted me to do.
Sir, is there anything you need from me? I know you just came into power, but as of now, I'm your servant, so feel free to call on me whenever.
Thank you, my kind servant. I appreciate your loyalty and service. Now that I have come to a reasonable state of mind, maybe I can do something to change the harshness of the situation. Leclerc really needs to figure out that the actions his men are performing are dreadful, and I do not appreciate them at all. Will war have to go on? Now that the French are starting to do so much to us, maybe they will have to feel the harm as well. Servant!
Yes?
Would you be so kind as to find out what Leclerc is doing?
Yes, sir, of course I can do that.
Oh, my men, they're all dying from this awful yellow fever that resides in this area. And to make matters worse, the guerrilla attacks are killing off more of them as they seem to be short and sudden. What have I to do now? Possibly take it out on the French rebels? That's it! All right, officer, now that you know of many of your soldiers and fellow comrades are suffering from yellow fever and the frequent attacks, we shall be meaner and more brutal against the French rebels. And from now on, any black man you see, slave or not, shall be killed.
yes, sir.
Sir, I have very important news for you. Sir, the French soldiers, or the general, I guess, has decided that they're going to start killing all black people they find.
Yes, I hear you, my servant. We shall respond, no doubt. And not to fear. Everything that they do to us shall be felt by them. From now on, all Europeans who oppose the new revolutionary government will be executed.
Thank you, Dessalines. I know that the actions will be carried out because you are a leader that is fair for that. But fair for us, which is most important. Oh, sir, I almost forgot. Did you know about Leclerc?
No, my servant, I did not. What has gone on?
He died.
Well, this could be a good thing. Do you know who has come to take his place?
Yes, sir. The man's name is Jean-Baptiste Roquebou. So the guy's name is Jean-Baptiste Rochambeau. All I've heard that is he is simply going to continue in Leclerc's ways.
Well, then I guess our ways will not change if the others don't change either. Our response will be the same way.
Will this story ever end? I feel like it's lasting forever.
Harold, be patient with me. The revolution did go on for 12 years.
I guess that's true. So what happened next? There has to be more. I mean, you guys did win, right?
Now that Louverture's dead, how am I going to find out what happens at the end of the Haitian Revolution?
Later that day, Harold had found a slave from Haiti to explain the rest of the story to him.
So what happened? Did Saint Domingue win?
Of course we won. We are Haitians. We fought for our country and we got what we wanted. No more coffee plantations, no more sugar plantations, and no more slavery.
You mean the French gave up that easily?
Not exactly. After Leclerc's death, Jean-Baptiste Rochambeau took over and continued following what Leclerc had done. The war was still going, but eventually, the French government stopped helping their troops and became weak.
We need help. Thousands of people are dying because of the war, and another 1,000 because of disease.
After a few years, Rochambeau could not take this any longer. He felt defeated and surrendered on November 28, 1803.
So what did the people of Haiti do after that?
Well, we were finally declared as a republic and created our flag. It was...
What does it look like?
I was just going to tell you. Relax. Why do you keep interrupting and asking so many questions?
Sorry.
You know how the French flag has 3 colors, right?
Of course I do. Who doesn't know that?
Well, I thought maybe... Anyways, we used only 2 out of the 3 colors for a new Haitian flag.
Red and blue?
Yes, we also became the second republic of the Western Hemisphere. Our revolution influenced many other peoples, including North America. Even though we were a small French colony, with our determination and bravery, we were able to break away from France and free our people.